Welcome to Legally Ponzanelli, a podcast dedicated to the real stories behind the legal profession. I'm your host, Stephanie Ponzanelli, a law graduate from the University of Arkansas School of Law. Each week, we will hear from different law graduates who share candid conversations, practical advice, and real experiences that show you just how different everyone's journey into the legal profession can be. Today's episode is sponsored by Belmonte, a skincare and lifestyle brand built around the reminder to stay still, grounded, and present. If you don't already follow us on social media, just click the link below and it will send you directly to our TikTok, our Instagram. If you haven't joined our Patreon, you can join there and you can check out our Amazon wish list. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Lilia. Can you introduce yourself and give me your background?
Hi, so my name's Lilia. I am a non-traditional recent law school graduate from Southern University Law Center. I am originally from Washington, D.C., also raised in New York City. I am a first generation um Cuban and Nicaraguan, first person to be in a family that to go to law school, and also I'm a military veteran. I served in the Army for about 17 years.
When did you graduate?
I graduated in of 2025.
Twin, me too. I love it. So let me get this open. All right. So you have been juggling a lot on your plate because you also have children, right? You went through law school while having kids?
Yes, so my children are grown.
Hmm.
They are college age. I decided to attend law school right when my youngest son started his first year in college.
Oh, so you guys got to have like your first day of school pics. That's so cute.
Somewhat, like, for me, I actually started, online because it was the pandemic, like, right, a short I
Oh,
think about a
yeah.
year after the pandemic, and we were still online, and so, as soon as, like, that first semester, I took him up to his dorm and then, like, got on the plane, and by Monday, I was back in class.
Jeez. Can you tell me where you went to undergrad and what your degree was in undergrad? And if you do have more degrees?
Yeah, so I received my undergraduate from University of Maryland, University College. I think now it's called Global Campus. And my degree was in legal studies, which I believe now is called a paralegal studies. I have a master's degree in international relations from Webster University, certificate in negotiations from Yale School of Management. On top of that, I also graduated, as you know, from Southern University Law Center, and currently I am a LL.M student at GW University or GW Law.
What is your LLM program?
The program that I'm in is National Security Law and Cybersecurity.
Oh my gosh. So you have like a full wall just of all the education you've gotten. That is impressive. I love it. And you said you're a first gen. So, like, you're the first one to get all of these degrees. And
Yes.
I want to ask you, what is an LLM for the people that don't know?
So, an LLM is it's basically a master's degree for lawyers, but it's similar to a regular master's degree that someone that is not a lawyer would get. You choose to concentrate on a particular subject or field of, in this case, a field of law, which for me, like I said, I chose cybersecurity and national security was just natural. So it does make you marketable in a sense of if that's what you would like to do in the future and that's the career path that you would like to go to or towards, that is definitely a degree that would be would make you marketable to whatever path you choose, whether it is big law or whether it is public service or a boutique law firm.
Perfect. And correct me if I'm wrong, you can only get an LLM if you go to law school, right?
So, yes, there's a caveat to that. There is a program for a lot of people that get LLMs are people that are born outside of the country and are attorneys in other countries. And so, one thing that they do is they go and get an LLM because it is the track to get to be able to take the bar in the US. So, that is one side of it. Then there's the people like me who just receive the JD, and then they go in and they decide to obtain an LLM. And then there's a small percentage of people that actually are that have never attended law school outside the country or inside within the US, and they choose to have like a or obtain a master's degree. Some schools do allow you to obtain that as just a bachelor with just a bachelor's degree.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, that's very interesting. Did you always know you wanted to go to law school?
Yes. So I wanted to be a hockey player when I was younger. I know that is so left, but that is what I wanted to do when I was little.
Uh-huh.
But then obviously that wasn't in the cards. So
Mhm.
I chose to be an attorney. But I always wanted to be a lawyer. However, I wanted to go and be a fashion designer, and that's really what I wanted to do initially.
Mhm.
But as I got older and then I realized, like, maybe I wanna do something else, like, I like law, and I
Mhm.
really enjoy it, something that I'm passionate about. And being first generation, I felt like at that time, some of the things that, immigrant families harp on are several different occupations, and it would be hard to explain to my West Indian grandfather that I was going to be a fashion designer over going to law school.
Now, you have all these degrees, but you've also had an entire career. You were in the military did you say 17 years?
So I was active duty for
Mhm.
about 15 years, and then I'm gonna take a lot of heat for this. I decided to prioritize my family, and certain situations came about. They gave me the opportunity to it was basically a now or never moment,
Mhm.
for me to attend, law school. So, at 15 years, I made a decision to, leave active duty and go ahead and focus on myself and my family and attend law school part-time but also still continue my military career. I transitioned over to be part-time in the military.
Are you still currently in the military?
Yes, I'm currently still in the military. I'm actually pushing towards attending school hopefully by the end of this year.
Oh, can you tell me a little bit about JAG school?
Well, I can't really tell you a little bit about it because I don't know too much. I can tell you
That's okay.
what I've been told because I don't
Yeah.
attend it yet, but I'll be happy to tell you once I finish the
Okay.
program. Now I can tell you what I did to be able to get accepted as a JAG officer in the military. So, well, at least in the army, I can tell you.
Yeah.
That's as far as I can get at this point.
That's okay. You'll just have to come back. So that's perfect. So can you tell me, like, what did you do to get into JAG and what that entails? I actually have no idea.
Okay, so what I ended up doing was I one of the goals that I had while I was active duty is that I wanted to be an officer and I wanted to be particularly a JAG officer. So that's always been something that I wanted to do. I tried other different paths, but my calling I felt like has always been towards JAG, which mirrors exactly what I'm doing in life anyway. So it kind of worked out. So what I ended up doing was I did the application for it, which was online. One part of the application it consisted of me interviewing for you have to interview with an officer that's designated for the area that you're currently in. And so I had an interview with a um a current JAG officer, and basically, it was like interviewing for a job. They ask you the basic questions of why do you wanna be a JAG officer? Why do you believe that you're a good asset for it? Just basic interview questions, and then from there, I filled out an application, which again would also ask you, "Why do you wanna be a JAG officer?" So if
Mhm.
you do not know what you wanna do, you better answer that quick. You better know why you wanna be a JAG officer because you'll be asked that plenty of times. Filled out the application, and then about a month later, I received I received notification that I was accepted into the program on the condition of graduating from law school and passing the bar.
I just looked it up a little bit too, and this is no small feat. Oh my goodness. So you have to have the law degree from an ABA approved school and be licensed. And then I'm just reading what I found online. But so it stands for Judge Advocate General, and it's a commissioned officer and attorney providing legal services across criminal law, civil, administrative law, operation law, and legal assistance to soldiers and their families. They advise commanders on legal matters, support unit readiness, and typically serve on active duty. Wow. Okay. Is there a specific well, I'll ask you those questions once you're done. So, after that, are you done with school or are you getting another degree? Cuz it feels like you are going after all of them and I love that.
I know, I'm exhausted.
I
Hopefully, I'm
bet.
done. I said I'm tapped out at the LL.M program. I'm set to graduate if all goes well, I'm set to graduate in May of '27. So, I think I'm done. I mean, my only schooling that I would have to do would be just, JAG school, and that's it.
That's it. Besides the bachelor's, the master's, the JD, the LLM, you're doing it all. You're going to be like when you're done, I wonder if you're like, "What do I do now?" Well, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a hobby.
Yeah, this is my hobby. I was like,
Well, it's a good
I really
hobby to
need
have.
Yeah.
I just found out about Substack, so I'm actually gonna be looking at that and seeing if I can start utilizing Substack more often.
What is that?
It is so I didn't know what it was at first either, and I was like, "What is this?" But my cousin, who is, an author, she said it's like Instagram slash Twitter slash TikTok for nerds who just like to read. So I was like, "What? Okay." So, I don't know, I got snowed in after the bar exam or like that week of my bar exam. So I was like, let me see what this is about. And it's really interesting. It's more writing. You write and you could basically put your stuff on what looks like Instagram, but just writing instead of pictures. You can write
Oh,
about
well,
anything. It's about
I'm gonna have
anything
to
you
look that
want.
up.
Yeah,
Now I can pick up another hobby. I'm gonna have to check it out.
yeah. Anything to
I think
keep
you
busy, because after the bar exam, it's one of those things that you're just like, "Oh my god, I need to find a hobby just so my mind isn't on bar results."
Yes, and for those listeners out there, I know for my bar exam, I won't know for 6 weeks. Some of them are a lot longer. I found out someone won't know her bar exam results for another 2.5 months. So, it's like a really weird time.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So, did you navigate all of your education while working full time and also being a single mom?
So for my undergrad, part of it, I wasn't always a single mom. So for part of my undergrad degree, I was not working. I was more of a stay-at-home mother.
Mhm.
And so for that, I guess I'm still navigated the space on what that would look like. So I had to work hard on that one because it
Mhm.
was like at the beginning of when they started to do online classes. So, and a lot of schools didn't know how to really do it. But University of Maryland definitely was, I guess, one of the leading ones that did it, and it worked out. But majority of my degrees, yes, I was a single parent for them. How I navigated through them, a lot of aspirin and Motrin helped me out because, my god, I had headaches every day because I had 3 boys, and it was
Yeah.
me. I had a house full. I had 3 boys. Everybody was in a different sport. We also had our house was like Doctor Dolittle, like, we had cats, we had dogs, we had gerbils, you name it. So, what I did, I basically was able to study at night when everybody was asleep, or I studied during practice. I would go to their practices, and I'll have my laptop with me, and that's basically what I did. That's how I lived a very that was my hobby, is basically I just stayed in the stands and was working on a paper or working on whatever assignment while I watched my sons at practice.
3 sons. Or were they all, like, close to the same age? Did they get along, or was it, like, a little bit harder?
They're all in close to, they're all about the same age group, and there's a couple years gap between the first one and the youngest. But for the most part, everybody got along, once they got to be teenagers, it was definitely a crazy moment, but
Mhm.
for majority of their lives and mine, it was not a chaotic. It sounds like it was because we had so much going on, but no, it definitely wasn't. I had some really good kids, while they were growing up.
Well,
No, I was blessed to have my kids where, kids are gonna be kids at all times. I'm not saying they were angels, but I didn't
yeah.
have the major issues that a lot of parents that deal with single parent lifestyle. I'm
Yeah.
only 5'2", and my all of my kids are old and are bigger than me. So,
Mhm.
by the time they were in middle school, everybody was taller than me. So I basically had to hold my own in the household, and everybody respected it. So it was, for the most part, a good environment for them and myself. And then on top of that, because of the fact that I was in military,
Oh,
they
yeah.
were able to navigate the military space. On top of that, adjusting to life in a different city every couple of years. So for the most part, everybody they were patient. Not all the time because they were getting frustrated with the moves and everything,
Mhm.
but for the most part, they were pretty good.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I bet you were even stricter because 'cause you're in the military. No, I wouldn't
Oh,
have
man,
survived.
don't ever interview any of my kids on this podcast because then you'll be like, "Who is that? Oh my god, are you sure that wasn't a lady that I spoke to?" But yeah, yeah, it's
That's so
definitely
funny.
we got some stories now. It wasn't always, nice and calm at our house. Like, I definitely had to be strict with them on certain things.
Okay, can you tell me about your law school experience? Did you go full-time or part-time? And will you remind the listeners again where you went to law school and where it's located?
Sure. So I went to Southern University Law Center. It is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It is one of the six HBCU law schools. And my law school experience,
Can I pause
now,
you really
mind
quick?
you, yes.
Sorry. Just for the listeners too, can you let us know what HBCU is?
Sure. So HBCU is a historically Black college and university, and it's basically they originally began as a safe space for Black Americans who often were not able to attend schools that were mostly white. And this was early pre-Jim Crow or even through the Jim Crow era. So, to present, they still have the historical significance to them, but now a lot of them are much more diverse than they were, 50 to 100 years ago. And it's not as many as people think there are because a lot of them closed. I'm lucky to have attended one of the six HBCU law schools in the country. I believe there there were more, but like I said, I think a lot of them ended up closing. But the one that I went to originally opened up in the 40s.
Okay, sorry to cut you off. Yeah, whether you were full-time or part-time of your law school, you were letting us know where you went.
Okay, yes. So I was a part-time evening student. And let me answer that again. I'm sorry. I was a part-time evening student. And so what that looked like was that I attended classes after 5 p.m. until maybe the latest 9-ish, 9:30. And it was only about 2 to 3 days out of the week, depending on how many classes I had. And, during the semester, I only had about 3 classes. So instead of a full-time schedule, like the norm or the day program, like I said, I had 3 classes, and our program was completed in 4 years versus 3 years because you were expected to also attend summer school at least once. I was able to finish the program in 3.5 years because I ended up uh, attending all 3 summers. And with that, because I did it 3.5 years, I ended up taking an extra semester to be able to graduate in May of 25 versus December of 24 because I wanted to take some elective classes that I was interested in.
So, just to remind the listeners, you not only did school all year round, you actually did extra,
Yes.
right? Oh
Yes.
my gosh. How do you do it? And you were still working. Law
Yes.
school, even without working, is so hard. And just for the listeners out there, my first year of law school, I took 4 classes. She's part-time taking 3, so just 1 less than what I did, and working. Like, that's a big deal, and that's super hard. How was it juggling that?
My first year was probably the hardest because I had to adjust. And the luck that I had, I ended up getting COVID at the end of the semester, my first
No.
semester. So, like, it was definitely an adjustment to what I was not used to. It just like that first year was just horrible. 1L year is always just like, oh my God, shell shocker.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
for
so
sure.
from there, I after my first year, it was more of I was actually in person after that. So it changed up a lot, like my habits, my focus was different, what I was doing, and I was also not just in person, but I was actually local at that point, going into my second year. So it took a lot of maneuvering, time management, support from my employer, my family, my friends, allowing me to vent some days and after work or not after work, after school, and then a lot of sacrifice on my weekends. Like I was not able to do a lot of things that I wanted to do if I wasn't in law school or even like my day program counterparts were able to enjoy their weekends whereas for me and a lot of my peers that were in the evening program that were also in the same boat, like working and attending law school, we had to utilize our weekends as our major study time because we were cutting into our hours in the middle of the week. So it's time management is very much key during, the evening program, if you ever decide to attend the evening program versus the day program.
That and discipline and dedication, my goodness.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about, like, were you able to be in clubs? Were you able to sign up for different things, or is it different when you're part-time?
So you are able to they also tell you that after for my school, I can't speak about other schools, but for my school, they had a policy where after your first year, you were able to apply to different organizations, journals, oral advocacy groups and organizations, anything like that. However, you had to meet certain requirements for each organization had their own type of requirement that you had to meet, whether it was just a regular organization that had no requirements or some that had GPA or written on requirements. Not everyone took part because it it does factor in a lot because a lot of the, organizations only meet during the day, and I was able to, attend a lot of the programs during the day because of my employer was extremely supportive of me attending law school, so I was able to take advantage of that opportunity and affordabilities. So I was able to become a part of Moot Court. The ones that I was a member of is Moot Court and uh, the managing editor in chief of a law journal, as well as I was on a veterans law organization and Latino.
Wait, you were in a law review program. Can you tell me about which one you're in? And just for the listeners to know, it is not something you can just join. That one you typically either grade in or you have to write in. And it's pretty prestigious. So not only I just wanna remind y'all, she was working, she was going to school, and she joined these clubs and made it. So this is a really, really big deal. Can you tell the listeners about the program you were in or the law review program and what that was like?
The journal that I was a part of, it was and it still is in existence. It was a journal of international law, business, and policy. And it was a fairly new club or a journal. It was established in 2022. The trajectory of the journal was pretty much international law, global commerce, and public policy, as well as just business law, just encompassing most of that. I was just originally just a junior editor for it my first year that I joined. I joined at, I think, my second year of law school and managing editor in chief of the organization between 2000 and I believe 2024, just for 1 year.
Mhm.
And then from there, I was afforded the opportunity to become a published author, and my journal article basically was selected for publication, I believe, for one of the first, if not the first, um, art journal or first publication, but it could have been the second one.
So you also wrote an article that was published.
Yes.
You can do it all. I love that. You are a superwoman.
Thank you.
So, what was the hardest part about law school for you?
Okay, so while I was a part of the journal, I was voted as the executive editor, and so what I ended up being, a part of it, and I was in that position between, 2023 until 2024.
What was the hardest part about law school for you?
The hardest part about law school was, gosh, a little bit of everything. What wasn't hard about law school? I had to move away from my family. Basically, I've never lived in Louisiana, so I had to move away from everybody and anybody that I knew into a space that I just had never been to, adjusting to a culture that I've never been in as well. And that's not just in the state of Louisiana, but also being at a HBCU law school. I was not used to that culture. So therefore it was a little bit different for me. That it
Mhm.
was an adjustment, so, I think that was the hardest part of being able to get through law school.
What was your favorite class in law school and why?
My favorite classes in law school were secure transactions, which is UCC 9 for a lot of people that don't know, and also appellate advocacy, which basically it was just, writing appellate briefs and arguing.
Did you do moot court as well? Like, did you do a competition?
Yes, so I did participate in moot court, and it's funny you asked that because I absolutely do not like public speaking. Okay.
Really?
No, it is not something that is I would rather, uh, go to the dentist versus
Oh,
and doing public speaking. However, a friend of mine decided that she wanted to join moot court. So I said, "Okay, well, I wanna do it too." So we both decided to join, and we both decided to write a brief, and we both were selected. So I was a part of moot court for the from 2L until graduation, and during that time frame, I did participate in an ABA sponsored moot court competition and several other ones, and which basically also, led me to become part of Order of Barristers once I, graduated.
could you let the listeners know what that is?
Yeah, so Order of Barristers is basically almost like an honor society for, students or graduates or about to be graduates of law school who are good at oral advocacy and appellate writing.
Did you do more of like the written portion or did you do like the speaking?
I did both. We did for the competition because you have to do a competition at our school. You have to do a competition in order to be able to compete for moot court, to be on the moot court team. So we had to do both. We had to write and we had to argue. To be honest with you, I don't know which one was my favorite. I like both of them. Now, I did win Best Brief with the ABA in 2024, one of their moot court competitions. So I'm going to say that writing is a good thing for me.
Mhm.
Would I say that's probably my favorite? It's about even with arguing. Once I started arguing in moot court, I actually enjoyed public speaking.
So you kinda got over that, like, being scared, or are you still kind of like, "I'd rather go to the dentist?"
I litigate now, so I'm in court at least 3 days a week. So
Whoa.
that part, yes. So that part of I'm scared,
Mhm.
so it depends. It really depends. I'm gonna give you the lawyer answer on that. It
Mhm.
depends. Some maybe I will go to the dentist over litigating, but it just depends.
Well, for any of the listeners out there, if you are nervous or scared to do it, just try it out, you never know. Did being a working professional change how you approached law school?
Yes, being a part of I believe the part of my success to being able to get through law school stemmed from being a parent, of kids that a lot of that were almost the same age as some of the students that were at in school, so I knew how to deal with that, to being, time management and anything else because of my not writing, excuse me, because of my military background, as well as working. So it definitely helped. My life experiences definitely helped me be more successful through my law school career.
Okay. And so you sat for the bar exam. Can you tell me what studying for the bar exam was like for you?
Um, I sat for the February bar exam that just recently we just did last week.
Yeah.
And so what I started to do was I started studying middle of November. But my studying wasn't like huge. It was just like a couple hours here and there. And then on the weekends, I would definitely study about 10 hours during the first month through maybe right before Christmas. I decided not to go home for Christmas. I decided to stay local and not leave because I didn't want to get distracted because I knew I needed to focus on this exam. So I gave up Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, everything for this exam.
Mhm.
I took off time from work to be able to study full time and focus so I can get in. There were some subjects that I hadn't just really grasped, and I still needed to ensure that I knew for the exam. So my schedule looked like I would wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and take probably start studying around no later than 8 o'clock. And then by then I had already done like 20 to 25 multiple choice questions. So my started with multiple choice questions, and right before bed, I was also doing multiple choice questions. During the daytime, I took maybe like 2 or 3 long breaks, like maybe about 30 to 45 minutes.
Mhm.
And wrote, I would do 2 subjects a day. So one MEE subject and one MBE topic. It was just really more of a review of what I had learned from November through January.
The bar exam takes a lot out of you.
It
Did you
does.
have days off? Were you able to, like, take a day off, or did you feel like at least for me, it was hard to sit with that?
So I felt, and then this is probably just me because I felt like if I take one day off, I felt like I was gonna be behind in
Mhm.
studying, or I felt as though I felt guilty. Like, what am I doing? Why am I watching Netflix when I still need to learn?
Mhm.
I have to make sure that I understand strict scrutiny, and
Yeah.
I still haven't figured it out yet. So, like, I had to ensure maybe a couple hours here and there, but I didn't take a whole day. I even had to go to drill in the middle of bar prep. And I studied during that time frame. On my downtime or while I was waiting for something or on the plane, I was doing multiple choice questions.
See, I was with you there because you feel so guilty because 'cause you're like, "I need to pass this, I'm gonna take this.
Mhm.
I'm taking a lot of time out of my life for this." And like you said, you sacrificed and did same, like, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving with your family, and it's just a
Mhm.
lot, you know?
Yes.
And then you were still balancing work for it and drills, like, it wasn't like you were doing an easy job either. It's a really hard exam, and just for anyone who's gonna take it, like, you can do it. This is not to, like, dissuade you from it, it's just letting you know, like, it is gonna be hard, and at least for me, and I'd like to know what you thought, but, like, I did so much studying, and I went to sit for the bar, and I walked out, and I still don't know if I passed, and I don't feel like, "Oh, I definitely passed that." Like, I'm just like, "I really hope I did." And I feel like that's what I don't sit well with is, like, not feeling so confident in myself leaving that exam.
That's how I feel. And one of the biggest things that people ask it, I'm like, I don't know how to. I don't want to be rude to people,
Yeah.
but I cannot stand when people ask me, "How did you do? How do you think you did?" I don't know. I hope that the cards are in my favor,
Yeah.
that the bar graders feels sympathy on me with the first question where it had like sub 5 questions. Like I'm
Mhm.
like, oh my, I just don't know. I don't know. you know?
Yeah.
I just hope I gave enough to be able to meet the requirements for the state that I took it in.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you don't get so, like, for Arkansas, it's 270. If you don't get a 270, you cannot practice in Arkansas. You could if you get a little bit lower score and other states accept it, you could transfer over or see if they'll accept you, but that's the other hard thing that I think a lot of people don't understand or not understand, sorry, that a lot of people might not know is that this score, this exam determines whether or not I can practice law. It doesn't matter all of the schooling that we've both done, right? Like this
Mhm.
test, this result is what allows me to move forward. And I think that's what's
Right.
really daunting as well, or really scary, all the pressure beyond or all the pressure on this exam.
Right. Yeah, I don't think people understand that part, and it is definitely a hard thing for some people who've never attended law school to understand
Mhm.
why my phone is always on do not disturb, or why I cannot go hang out with you for the weekend or go do brunch on Sunday somewhere, because I have to make sure I understand, something that has to do with a contract because
Mhm.
I need it for the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that it is a mind bending exam that takes a toll on people, and I understand now the pressure that someone has when it comes to that, because you walk out of there, you don't know. You
Yeah.
just do not know whether you gave enough or whether it was, just right for what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And you won't know for a long time. Like mine is
Mhm.
6 weeks. So if you know someone who is currently studying for the bar or just took the bar, show them some grace, buy them a coffee. They're going through
Yes.
it. Like
Yes.
it's rough out here. I'm
It
on the
is.
other side of it, but like you still don't feel well because you're in limbo?
Yeah.
Like someone asked me,
Mhm.
they're like, "Are you a lawyer?" And I was like, "Well, no." Did I complete law school? Yeah. Can I
Right.
practice law? No. I don't know yet? Like I have to
Right.
wait for this. So you're also in like a weird space?
Yep.
Uh, Um, Okay, what did this journey teach you about yourself? Like going through law school and you're currently getting your LLM.
So, one of the things that, it has taught me was more so of I would like to say patience, because
Mhm.
I don't wanna say that I don't have patience, but that sounds so negative, but I do, but I
No, yeah.
also feel like it comes from a different perspective. It gave me more insight on the law and what I would like to do with it, journey I would take with this degree.
Mhm.
And getting through law school in an environment that I did not know, uh, or was comfortable in allowed me to be able to get ready for what society is gonna be, because everybody's different, you know?
Mhm.
So, you have to be understanding of everybody else's differences,
Mhm.
and so for me, that going through law school and being in the space that I was in definitely taught me that.
Gr What would you say to a mom listening right now who thinks law school isn't possible for her or is considering law school and just is really nervous about it?
I would say it is definitely something to always be nervous about, and I know how it is because I took the LSAT several times, and I also know where that person was, and so I know how you feel, but don't give up. I often see a lot of people that do that, they wanna give up, like, I see them in Facebook pages and everything. I'm blessed that I'm no longer in the space of the LSAT world,
Mhm.
but I remember being in that space, and, I would say just don't give up on your dream. If that's something that you wanna do and that's something that you enjoy and you have a passion for, just because you are a mom does not stop you from obtaining or achieving a goal that you have wanted for yourself. Because at the end of the day, your kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna want to see their parents happy. And I will say
Mhm.
that because my own children have said that to me. So, they
Aw,
want to be able to do that. They want to look up to you as a parent and see you obtain your dream.
beautiful. You're in the military. Are you graduating law school with any debt?
I am blessed to have all my degrees, and once I complete this LLM, I will be 100% debt free.
That is incredible. I love that. Thank you for your service because one, it wasn't like you didn't do something to get it for free, right? You put in a lot of time, a lot of work into it, but how does it feel like obtaining all of that and not having that extra weight?
Uh, it is definitely a good feeling knowing that I am in a position that I am not having to pay for, I have student
Mhm,
loans and everything like that. So that is definitely something that I 100% am grateful for.
mhm,
But like you said, it wasn't something that I just woke up and was like, "Yes, I'm gonna be debt free." It came with a sacrifice. Many
mhm.
years of military sacrifice afforded me the blessing to be able to attend law school for free and even be able to obtain another degree with the same path as well, financial plan as well. It also has opened up the door to be able to be, able to obtain any job, like, I'm not stuck with having to go one path with my degree because I have a ton of debt or not be able
Mhm.
to afford to do some other stuff because I have a ton of, student loan debt. With me, I'm able to now navigate through the space of being able to choose where I wanna be at without the factor of is it gonna be enough for me to be able to live comfortably and be able to pay my student loans? So it is definitely a good feeling to have. Wow.
Y
I was blessed to be able to, um transfer some of my benefits, my military benefits over to them. So their amount of paying anything back is very minimal. But
Oh,
because
great.
I do not have student loans, I made a pledge to them that you don't have to worry about that because I'm gonna handle your student loan since, basically I gave you part of my stuff, but I think it's best to always walk out of law or any school as debt free as possible.
Mom Award of the Year because that is so great. I think that and let me know what you think, but I feel like in the Hispanic community specifically, we're very big on taking care of each other, and like I know that in some cultures, I'll edit that part out, specifically white people, their kids will turn 18 and they're like, goodbye, like good luck in life. And seeing people, like my mom helped me as much as she could. Right, and it is wild to see that, like, some kids, like, have parents that are like, "Oh, well," like, "I could help, but I'm not going to." So I love that you're going to do that for your kids. That's a big deal.
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously, best mom ever, for real.
Thank you. No, I felt as though, education is a big thing for me, as you can see it is.
Yeah,
And I believe that my children also that was the biggest thing for me as well is one of the requirements in my household is that you will attend college.
mhm,
I was able to put them through college with my benefits as well as, one of them ended up going on a full ride to a very good school,
mhm.
and it was majority of it was a full ride. So I was able to, instill in them what I felt like was something that was instilled with to me coming from a family of immigrants and a
Yeah.
family who believed, they came to this country for us to be able to be in a seat and be in this opportunity, like speaking to you about, our journey and everything.
And what I love that you're doing is that you're still going through school. You're still going and you're doing all these things. You're instilling that in your children and you're being so supportive too. So I think that is beautiful to hear. And I love that. And congrats to your son getting in a top school with a full
Thank
ride.
you.
That's huge. Okay. What would you say to someone who's in the military and is considering law school?
So one of the things that I would say about considering law school while you're in the military is make sure that you are aware of the different opportunities that you are able to utilize to be able to give you time to be able to attend law school because there are programs in active duty uh, will be able to provide you with the opportunity to attend law school full time, such as the FLEP in the Army. They have the FLEP program, which is now open to both enlisted and officer. But if it is not something that you can do while you're active duty, there are other opportunities that will afford you to be able to attend law school, such as being a part-time soldier. Many locations or many states or even on the reserve side do pay for law school in some capacity. So it is something that if you look into it and you do a little bit more research on it, always make sure that it's a right decision and you have the time and commitment to be well aware of the time and commitment to become a successful law student.
Before wrapping up, I did want to ask if you had one more piece of advice for any of the listeners out here.
Everybody's path looks different. It's not linear. So just be well aware about that, as well as um, I'm always an advocate. Full ride or whatever school gives you the most money is
Mm-hmm.
the best, because at the end of the day, we all take the same bar exam.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice. Well, thank you so much. I record the That's it for today's episode. Again, I'm Stephanie Ponzanelli, and this is Legally Ponzanelli. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. A special thank you to our sponsor, Belmonte, a brand rooted in the reminder to stay still, grounded, and present, even in the middle of big goals and busy seasons. If you're not already following us on social media, make sure you click the link provided below. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for future guests, email me at legallyponzanelli@gmail.com. And if you're a law graduate who wants to share your story, I'd love to hear from you. For sponsorship inquiries or ways to support the show, feel free to reach out to the same email. Bye!